Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. Malcolm is not here yet, but I do have hope that he'll be able to pop out of his meeting and come his meeting that he's running and come join us. Let me just get some things set up here, and then we will get started. So real quickly, I want to go through how to ask questions. I've already gone through the Facebook group and some of the reflection questions and pulled out some of the questions that I saw. But if you have an extra question that you would like answered during this time, please submit it, and I'm going to show you how to do that in 1 second here. I want to get the page loaded, and then I will share with you guys how you can ask your own questions during this. So what you're going to do, I'm going to screen share it with you, and you can just follow the same process for yourself. So you can see here, I have the page that you are all seeing, quite likely, this little Hangout Events page that I sent the email about. What you're going to do is you're going to click the play button right here, and that is going to bring up this window, which will probably be showing me a few minutes ago right now because there's a little delay on these. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this because I don't want any echo. I'm going to going on, but what you're going to do is you see this grid of squares up here. You're going to click on that grid, and you're going to go to the button that says Q&A. It's this little speech bubble right here. Click on that, and in the bottom here, you'll see this button that says Ask a New Question. You can type in whatever question you want and click Submit, and that will prepare to me. Now, if your question is already asked and you want to make sure it gets answered, click this little +1 button right here underneath the questions, and what that will do is it will make that question bubble up to the top, and as that question bubbles up to the top, that will be the next one we answer. So I'm just going to get started on these questions right now. If you don't have... Oh, Malcolm, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, cool. So typically we get started with a few questions, but I know you're on a tight schedule. So we'll just do a quick introduction of you. I'll give my understanding of what you do, and you can correct me if I'm wrong about anything.
Awesome.
So Malcolm is kind of a Renaissance man. He's an entrepreneur. He blogs about culture, rationality, metacognition on his blog, and he's also a recent graduate. So he's in the same position that many of you are in. He's a super smart guy, and we're going to answer some questions together, and then I also want to share a resource that Malcolm has created for everybody here that I think we might end up integrating with the course if people end up liking it. So, Malcolm, do you have anything to add about who you are, what you do?
I think you summed it up pretty well, Matt. I'm in the middle of running a workshop right now, and I didn't realize it was on the same date as this call. So I just have a few minutes here to join you guys. Shall I tell them a bit more about the room that I created?
Yeah.
Or a little bit later.
Yeah. Let's go over a few questions, and then
Cool.
Before you have to pop out, you can let them know.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right. So the first question we have. So this isn't for your less specifically, but it's for this module. This module seems to gloss over actually being realistic about your goals. Where does the rhetoric of following your dreams, challenging yourself, and ignoring what you're supposed to do meet with the reality of the job markets and the jobs you can actually get? So you can handle that. Give you a quick answer, then I'll kind of give my take on that.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. In terms of being realistic about your goals, I think that I don't actually know what kind of magic Matt's put together in terms of being able to I really don't know how he does what he does. But I think the point I guess of my class, for example, is not to sort of set your sights too high, but just to not get trapped in sort of doing things the way that everybody else does them. Because if you're, you don't want to be weird in a way that turns people off, but ultimately you can either be sort of okay for everybody, or you can be a really good fit in some places and a kind of total not fit in other places. And that's you can't get everyone to hire you. I think I said something about this in my post. Yeah. I don't want to repeat myself. So.
Yeah.
So that's kind of I guess more of where I'm thinking of is hone in on a particular spot and then really optimize for that. And the nature of optimizing is you don't max out everything. You yeah.
Okay. So I think I agree with that. I don't think that it's possible to do anything. I agree that you can do a lot more if you figure out where you want to challenge yourself and what goals you want to go after and what posters you want to ignore in order to be perfect for one area. So I think that you can probably do mostly anything, but you can't do everything. So like Malcolm, I think that where the rhetoric meets the road, so to speak, is that you really need to get specific about what you want, and that's what last week was all about, was figuring out what your dream job is and what company you want to work for and what job title you want, so that when we get to this stuff about optimizing who you are, about choosing what areas you want to pursue, about choosing those goals, you can be laser focused. So I guess that's my answer to that question. All right, next question. We'll do maybe two more, this one and one more, and then we'll have you introduce your resource that you're going to give people, which I'm pretty excited about. I use it a lot, and I think people are going to get a kick out of it. So this one is actually, I think, directed at your lesson specifically.
Mm-hmm.
How can I ignore the supposed tos when they're in the job description? I'm supposed to have 5 years of experience or an advanced degree. Should I just apply anyway?
Yes. I don't know. I think they people put those there for various reasons. Often that's kind of a wish list. Realistically, the fact that job posting is up there means they haven't found somebody yet who meets all of those criteria with all those criteria with flying colors. So definitely apply anyway. I mean, in some cases, I guess maybe the application process is arduous. If somebody has a job description that you're man, I only have I have basically no chance of getting into this, and it's a lot of work. They want you to fill out, hundreds of forms. I don't know. Some big companies they make you fill out a bunch of forms on their website. That can be kind of costly. So if it's one of those, and you're I'm basically not qualified, then probably don't do it. The bigger companies that have those massive forms are going to be the ones who will screen you off for those supposed tos anyway. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a great answer. Just to piggyback off that, these companies have plenty of computer programs and people who are paid to reject you, and so you don't need to do their job for them. If they want to reject you, they will do that, and you don't need to make that any easier on them. And like Malcolm was saying, this is the wish list of the ideal thing. And if you can really shine in other areas, what he was saying, be really polarizing about what you're doing, you can probably get them to ignore some of those things just because you can solve their problems. If you can solve the exact problem they have and save them money or create a new opportunity for them, they're not going to care how many years of experience they have, because you can do what no one else can do. Pretty simple, I think. Moving on to the last question here. That Malcolm will be, and then I'll be answering questions a little bit after that, so please stick around. So Malcolm says that if you want some people to match your brand, you're going to end up with others who don't. How do you craft a brand that gets you into the companies that you're interested in? So I think to take it down, I know you're not specifically focused on the job search, but I think to kind of boil this down, they're asking, what if who I am, the brand that I naturally have, doesn't get me what I want? How can I shift that to actually get what I want?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, this shows up. There's some weird parallels. I'll try really hard not to tangent into this too far. There's some interesting parallels with like job searches and dating searches, right? And you have like people who are trying to become someone else, so that like people who like that someone else will date them. And in some cases that makes sense. Like if the people you want to date are interested in people who are like X, then you like maybe want to become like X. Sort of a trivial example, like maybe if there's somebody who's like that you're really attracted to who's like totally a goth, then you like might want to start wearing black. Because like maybe they won't date you. Right. So like kind of trivially, in the business case, this means if you want to go work for a bunch of people who wear suits, you're gonna need suits. Like realistically, if you're working for a startup or something, then maybe not. It depends on what the company culture is like. So I mean, one way to sort of find out there's sort of I think there's a few different questions here, and just to sort of break them out quickly. First of all, how do you craft a brand? I think this sort of requires having taste. I don't know how to teach people to have taste, but like,
Actually, it's funny. I wrote a blog post about how to develop taste on my old blog, which is very similar to your current blog. Yeah. Anyway,
maybe link people to that. But like I think that's actually step 2. Step 1 is what does the brand want to look like, and for that, ask people who work at companies like the one that you're interested in working for. Ask them if they'll like go out for lunch with you and like talk about the thing. And if you go out for lunch with them on a work day, you can get a sense of like what they're like, how are they dressed when they're at work. If you get lucky and you manage to like have lunch at their office, this is something that has happened to me a few times. And I've hosted people in that context too. Then you can see, what's the office culture like. You can find stuff about that, and you can ask them about that during the interview process. Beyond that, I mean, yeah. So again, there's sort of like how do you find the brand that you want, and then how do you craft it? I think the crafting it process is maybe like you imagine this like hypothetical you that is like totally in line with this brand, and then you're like, what would me do that mean? It's like a WWJD thing, but instead of the Jesus, it's like a better version of yourself. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I
hope that's helpful. Like, I always get worried on a Q&A thing that I'm gonna like completely scroll someone's question and it's like not actually going to be the thing they wanted. So, my apologies.
I really like that answer. And so about craft. If I were to break it down, figure out who the ideal person would be. Figure out kind of the differences between where you are and where you want to be, and then imagine if I was already that person, what would I change?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good breakdown of the thing I described.
Okay, cool.
And then of course there is that whole step of like, who are these companies and what kind of brand would be attractive to them? I mean, that problem. Yeah. If that problem were easy or straightforward or something, then it like people would, I don't know. They would just all do it or something. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost anti-inductive. If it was so easy, everybody could do it.
But like, I think part of it is to even actually try. Like, I think a lot of people are nervous to deliberately brand themselves. And like, I basically just say go for it. Like, I changed my last name. I like made my website super colorful and like
sound like a superhero. Malcolm Ocean is like a superhero name.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know. Like, I just sort of like, I wanted to craft a particular image, and I wasn't even sure exactly what the image was, but I went for it. And as long as you take yourself seriously, other people will be more likely to take you seriously. I mean, maybe don't change your last name if you're going into law or something like that. Would be weird. But like, if you're going into anything that's like more of a creative field, then that could be like people would be down with somebody having a weird last name.
So one of the ways I like to think about this is congruency. In terms of you have your goal and you have who you are, and you can change either one to fit the other. It really depends on what your center is. If your center is your values, if your center is your emotions, is your center your logic, and that kind of is what guides everything else. If it's your logic, you might want to go for the goal first and then say, how can I craft my values around that? But if it's something else, if it's your emotions, then you probably don't want to change too much about yourself to go towards a goal. you probably want to figure out how can I get myself to want a different goal. And a lot of it might be towards those supposed to's. I've met a lot of people who think they're supposed to get a prestigious job as a lawyer or as an investment banker, but in reality, they're guided by their values, and they end up hating themselves when they actually get in those jobs. So I think before you do any of the stuff as Malcolm mentioned, which is awesome, and which we're going to get really into in some of the later lessons, I think you gotta figure out, is this actually what I want? If I have to change myself this much, do I want to do that? Do I want to change myself, or do I want to change the goal?
Cool. Yeah, I totally agree.
Cool. So let's. I know you've got to get going. I don't want to take too much more of your time. So
Yeah.
I'd love for you to share with everybody what you've built. As I said, Malcolm is an entrepreneur. He's built an awesome platform called Complete, which I guess the best way I could describe it is it's a to-do list that helps you focus on your larger life goals. Is that an accurate way to describe it?
That's pretty good, yeah. A lot of to-do lists, like you just put in a bunch of random stuff, and then you've got this list of random stuff. Compass flips the whole thing on its head and says, what are your goals? So obviously, for everyone here, goal number one is get a job, probably, right? Like, you know, and then, but maybe you have some other goals. You got a fitness goal, or maybe like also like, you know, have a relationship goal, or like some like, you know, you want to record a bit of music or something. Like what, you know, you've got some like other goals in your life, but you got your like goal number one in there. I just popped a link into the chat. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw that up into our little showcase here.
Cool.
So if you guys go up, when you clicked on Q&A, the other option was showcase. That has a bunch of links, and I just threw it in there. So
Cool.
you'll be able to see it in a second or so. So
Yeah.
anyway, continue. Yeah.
So Complis totally works as a standalone like one person doing their thing system.
Mm-hmm.
But one really cool thing that I've been experimenting with is what if you bring a bunch of people together and they can all work on their goals in the same context. So if you guys have heard of the Pomodoro technique, if not, it's amazing. And this will totally help you bootstrap it. But basically, you work for 25 minutes, you take a break for 5 minutes, repeat. And during your work session, you don't do anything but work. You don't check Facebook, you don't check email. I mean, unless your whole block is devoted to email. You know, you don't answer your phone, whatever. You just focus on work. And then it's break time.
Right.
And so the way that this website works, the page that I've linked you guys to, is it's a special room just for the New Grad Blueprint participants. And so you guys can hang out in this room. And Matt's going to send the link out to the people who aren't on this hangout. And so you guys can just show up in this room. There'll be a little timer. When the timer's red, you work. When the timer turns green, you take a break. And then there's a little chat room. You can like talk with the other people in the room, ask them how their job search is going, ask them how their other goals are going, and you can see what everybody else is working on. And I can just...
I think one of the key things here is that you need a network to job, and you already have this network of other people who are career-focused. You know are going places if they're doing this. And so I think that being able to connect with them in this way is going to be really huge. So I'm really excited about what we can do with this. One of the things I mention in every lesson, at the end of it, I say if you do not take the actions, you will not get the results. And one of the best ways to do that is to have a system, and this is a system that can do that. So I'm really excited to see if we can get some penetration among the people who are taking the course to do it.
Yeah. So just quickly popping this up on the screen share. People are going to be able to see this, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. So over on the left hand here, we have like a list of like all the things that I'm doing today. I'm actually just ticking this one off right now. Do this call. And then we've got a bunch of other stuff. Over on the right, if there was a bunch of other people in here, we'd see a list of like who are the other people in the room. And then down at the bottom here is the chat room, so I can say, hey, like, how's it going? And when other people are like working on different things, you can see like what task they're working on over on the right here, and then you can chat during the break over here. And then the timer is up in the top right, and it like shows, okay, we got 6 minutes left of work period, and then you get 5 minutes of break. And again, I've been using a system like this with a different group of people for like 2 years now, and it's been incredible. The way that we've been able to be super productive while hanging out. And we've also, we made a bunch of friends on there. There's actually a couple people who met on there who are dating now. Like they met on this co-working site, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely not designed for that, but like, hey, there's something like, I don't know, something pretty intimate about working with people, right? Not in like romantic sense, but it's just like you get to know somebody really well when you're like day in, day out, like signing on, how's it going? Oh yeah, I'm like having trouble with this. Oh, like can I help? Like, and really helping other people out. So I will over the course of the next week, I'll like try to hang out in the room a bit. If you guys are like finding bugs with the system, then you can let me know. I guess also the what was I going to say? So you can use the system without signing up for a Complis account. You just, like log in as guest. You just put in your name and what you're working on, and you can just go on there. I definitely recommend you guys check out Complis because the system is really designed for people like you who are really trying to like hone in their focus on something important like getting a job. Normally Complis has a like subscription fee, but for people who are like part of the new grad blueprint, if you sign up from the from the link that I sent, then I'll give you guys like an extra like month and a half free, so you get a whole 2 months.
Awesome. I didn't even know you were gonna do that.
I just decided on this right now, but it seemed like a cool thing, right? These are people looking for jobs. They probably lots of you are pretty short on cash right now, and so I'm gonna give you guys a couple months of this for free, and I hope that if you do get a job, then you'll continue to support Complis. If I helped, hey, if I didn't help, like don't pay me money. Right?
All right. So guys, that's Malcolm Ocean. MalcolmOcean.com is his blog. If you liked his lesson, he's got a lot more where that came from. Complice, COMPLICE.co is his website. Really awesome productivity app. And please check out that link I'm going to be sending out in the email. I really hope we can get a core group of people who are meeting there every week, going there every few days to do their actions. I really think it could help you guys out.
Yeah.
So thanks, Malcolm. I'm going to let you get back to your to your workshop, which you managed to jump out to help us.
Yeah, I think I'm just like looking out the window here. I think like we're having like all set up in the backyard, and I think people are. Gotcha. They're talking about the stuff. I think it's pretty good, but I probably should get back.
All right, man.
20 minutes now. But
so thank you. Have a good one, man.
This is great. Yep. All right. Yeah, best of luck, everybody. And I mean, feel free to send me whatever feedback on the system or whatever. I love feedback. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Bye.
Look forward to seeing you on there.
Of course. Bye. All right, guys, so I'm going to answer a couple more questions here. It looks like we've got a couple more, and then I'll go ahead and sign off. Again, I really recommend you check out that Complis room. I think it's going to be helpful. So, what more can you do to identify your dream if you find yourself torn between several directions? I'm torn between making a good income and doing good in the world. These don't seem mutually compatible. All right, so this is a great question, and it goes a lot back to what we talked about with Ryan last week in the Q&A, how to find that job that has it all, or can you find that job that has it all? And I think the answer to this really is that you need to not compromise. In this one area, you need to not compromise. Because it is possible to find a company that does good in the world and pays you money. And to start with, figure out what do you really need to get paid. Because you don't know what not compromising looks like until you figure out what it is exactly that you want. So some people are comfortable on $40,000 a year, and that's fine. And some people wouldn't be comfortable if they weren't making $100,000 a year, and that's fine too. But what I would do is try and see how little you can get by on and go up from there. So start with what is it you really want to make. Start from there. And then what I would really recommend you do, go back to Ryan's lesson and look at his list of 14 resources you can go to find game-changing companies. Because not every company that is looking to change the world is a nonprofit with no cash that can't pay you anything. And if you find yourself, once you've already determined that you want to get paid in that $60,000 to $100,000 range, if you really want to make that good living, I shouldn't say good living, that above average living, if you really want to do that, there are companies that can do that and change the world. So go back, watch Ryan's lesson, go over some of the resources he has there, and start from those companies. Once you've narrowed your pool down to that, it's going to be a lot easier to not compromise on those two things. In terms of the general questions, what happens if you have more than one dream and you don't know which one to pursue? I think in this instance, it's going to sound silly, it's going to sound weird, but there's this thing called satisficing, which is that sometimes it's best to take the first available option rather than spending all your time deciding between the two. So if you're torn between Dream A and Dream B, do your research, figure out what the things you need to be where there's the most uncertainty and the biggest impact on your decision. And once you've done that and you still don't know the answer, just flip a coin. just flip a coin. And sometimes in that middle of that coin flip, before it hits the ground, you find yourself wishing for one answer or the other, and your decision is made for you. But if you don't find yourself wishing, then just go with the coin flip, because ultimately, once you start going for your dreams, you're going to find opportunities coming your way. You're going to find more opportunities than you could possibly choose between. So the important thing is that if there's really not that much different, just to get started. So thanks, Jonas, for that question. I'm going to do the last question here. And perfect timing. We're coming right up on 1:30. Thank you all for joining. If you have any last questions, please put them in now so that I make sure I get to them. So this question says, how can you take the challenging road when you literally don't have the funds to survive if you don't live with your parents? So this is getting back to a specific thing that Ed Druce said in his lesson. It's unfortunate he couldn't make it. He's swamped right now with the launch of his book and a few other things going on. But he says to always take the challenging road, and one of the examples he gives is the decision to live with your parents. And this is saying, well, hold on a second. It's hard. Not only is it hard for me to live with my parents, I literally can't. I live in NYC. I live in, my parents are having issues. They don't want me to move out. It's going to create strife. I just can't do it. You say to take the challenging road, but it's just not realistic. So the first thing I will say on that is that I think you're full of shit. I'm just gonna come out and say that. I normally would not be that abrasive, but if you have found this course, if you have a computer where you can answer this stuff, I think you have enough resources to make pretty much any challenging thing work. You probably have a friend or two where you can sleep on their couch. You probably have access to Craigslist, where you can find house-sitting situations. You probably have access to things like TaskRabbit, where you can make a little bit of money really quickly. And if you come at it of the expectation of, I need to make everything work before I take the challenging road, I think you're going to end up just not doing it, not because it's impossible, but just out of fear, because there's always going to be another thing that you have to solve. There's always going to be a quote-unquote insurmountable obstacle. I think what Ed is talking about in this thing, in his lesson, is to push your comfort zone, to run towards the fear, not away from it. And sometimes that means stepping out without a safety net and forcing yourself to figure it out. Because I'll tell you, when you're at your parents' cushy job, it's easy to say, man, there's no way for me to make enough money to rent an Airbnb, to rent a crappy little apartment where I'm sharing a room with somebody else, to rent somebody's living room. But when you're out on the streets and if you don't find somewhere in 2 weeks, you are gonna find a way. You are gonna go on TaskRabbit and do a little odd job. You're gonna help somebody bag their groceries and get them to give you $1. You're gonna do anything you can to make it to the next route. And I think that's really what Ed's lesson is all about, is that necessity is the mother of invention. And if you can push yourself and force yourself to take that hard road, that road that pushes your comfort zone, then you will find a way to make it work. So thank you so much for coming, guys. It looks like that is the last question. I will send out an email after this. We'll have a link to this. It's going to have a link to that deal that Malcolm offered, a month and a half off of his productivity app. And it's going to also have the video of this, the video recording of this, so that you can watch it and go over the answers if you have anything you need to review. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.